Go ahead and get familiar with these players you see on the screen because they'll be playing this weekend and you'll be hearing their names early in April's NFL draft. 8 of the top 10 picks in Field Yates' latest mock draft will be playing this week in the CFP quarterfinals, including 3 players from Ohio State, Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza and Oregon's Dante Moore, who he has right now going second and being the second quarterback being taken off the list. Paul Finebaum is back with us now. And Paul, whose draft stock do you think will be impacted most by their performance in the quarterfinals this weekend?
I think it's Mendoza because he is projected to be the #1 pick. And I'm not saying an awful game is going to affect what's going to happen in April, but it would leave a lasting impression, especially a terrible blunder, one that cost his team the victory. But there are a couple of other factors here. Moore could move up with a great game, and don't forget Ty Simpson as well. Who, let's say Ty Simpson outperforms Mendoza in the Rose Bowl, his stock could go up considerably. I mean, we're talking about 3 of the 4 top quarterbacks right now. Simpson's somewhat of the forgotten man. Mendoza is the one everyone is talking about. Mendoza, with even a good, not great game, is probably going to be in fantastic position as we go to the combines and the workouts. But to me, it's all about him in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Moore here. I think for Mendoza, I'm not necessarily sure that he needs a great game for Indiana to beat Alabama. And Ty Simpson, I just don't think he's going to have a great game against Indiana in that defense, which leaves Moore. And I think a lot of what's going to happen in this Oregon and Texas Tech game is going to come down to big plays. Both of these teams have explosive plays, and it's about who has the most explosive plays, 20 yards or more. Both these teams are top in the country in that, especially Oregon. I think if Moore could get some of these explosive plays out of the way and, really turn the tide in this game, this could really raise his stock, especially against the Texas Tech defense.
It's the first time in 4 seasons that the Heisman Trophy winner has made the playoff. So this is kind of new territory for us, seeing Fernando Mendoza in the playoff. Let's take a full look, though, at the quarterfinal slate at this point. The Buckeyes right now are favored by 9.5. The biggest favorite so far in this second round, it would be Oregon, a slight favorite against a higher seed in Texas Tech. Indiana and Georgia, each favored by about a touchdown. That's according to DraftKings Sportsbook. And so, Paul, which team has the best chance at the upset in this next round in the quarterfinals this week?
Well, even though I'm going against the grain here, Shay, I'm saying Alabama. They are the #8 pick on everyone's list to actually. But I think there's so much to this. And Alabama is a hard team to love. I mean, they lost that first game against Florida State. They got blown out by Georgia, but they have been resilient. I look at the middle of the season when they knocked off top-ranked team after top-ranked team, starting with Georgia in Athens. They won at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not what I would call one of the best teams in the country, but in that atmosphere, folks, it was frenzied, especially when they went down 17-0. So I think there is a lot to this Alabama team. They need help, though. They need Mendoza to make mistakes. They need that defense of Indiana to show some holes that they have really not shown much this year. So I know I'm swinging for the fences. I'm playing the Disney underdog role here, the fantasy, but I'm still sticking with it. And the fact that one of our teammates here told me not even to worry about it, that it should be a 14-point spread earlier, I'm even doubling down more.
I'm tripling down on the fact
buddy.
I'm tripling down on the fact Alabama ain't got a shot. I'm telling you, Paul, I know you're fighting a good fight. You're doing the Disney thing. You're going to need a whole bunch of Disney characters. You need Tinkerbell. You're going to need everybody to come in and help Alabama out on this one. This is going to be a blowout. Ty Simpson is not going to do what you think he's going to do against that defense, who has shut down
DD.
Great quarterbacks. I know Shay's with me on this. I know you're here with him. To me, this is not even one that I considered as an upset possibility, because I just think this game we're going to see from this Alabama team. We're going to see the Alabama that we saw for 5 quarters, from the beginning of Georgia to the first quarter that they had in the tournament. That is the team that we're going to see against the Indiana squad. It's not going to be close, Paul. I am sorry. For me, if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be not swinging for the fences. It is a nice single. It's Texas Tech, who is, the higher seed, who is somehow disrespected by being the underdog here, even though they have 2 receivers who are pretty much unstoppable. They have a #1 run defense. If there's anything that would be a concern for me about Texas Tech, it's the fact that they, in the red zone, have settled for a little bit too many field goals instead of touchdowns, which they are going to need against Oregon. But other than that, they are matched up with Oregon quite well, and I think they're going to win this game.
Okay, so this round is going to be the first that will be played on neutral fields. That means that all the top seeds never will get a chance to play at home in front of their fans, which is a bummer for a team, especially, like, I hate to bring it up again, but like Indiana, who is not accustomed to being in this kind of situation, right, in college football. And so do we think the quarterfinal game should be played on college campuses? Didi, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I think so, because part of this is about the advantage of why are you at the top seed. You need some sort of advantage, and not just the benefit of being on your college campus, being around the fans. I think you need a geographical advantage, a weather advantage, right? If you're Indiana and you're at home and you're somewhere in the Midwest and Alabama has to come to you, that changes the trajectory of how we talk about these games. If you are having something closer to your home, closer to the weather that you're used to and the elements that you're used to, that makes a huge difference too, besides the fact that you're cheating these fans out who are rooting for these. Like, think how much it means for you, say, for an Indiana
that's what I'm saying.
and those, and that team to be where they are and to not be able to just ride up the street and go see them. They need to, I know there's planning and stuff that's ahead of time, but they need to figure out a way to reward these teams what they've done in the regular season, and not just one regular season, for years and years and years before then. All the alums, all the students who have rooted for them for decades, you need to be able to reward them by having some close to home.
Maybe beyond just a bye, because obviously the reward would be the bye the first week, but then the second week they could figure something out. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, we're in total agreement here. I've been to both first-round games on campus the last 2 years, and I've been to a million of Sugar Bowl and Rose Bowls. And while they're all fascinating atmospheres for viewing and sightseeing, they're not great for fans' interest because it's just split down the middle. If this game Thursday afternoon was going to be in Bloomington, I promise you I wouldn't be as high on the Tide as I am. Now, it does get cold in Alabama. It's below freezing this morning, but most of the time it's not the type of elements that you'll see in Bloomington or like what we saw last year at South Bend or Columbus. So I think it really takes away the complete advantage of being the number one seed. I mean, Indiana doesn't really get much of a break. I mean, they get Alabama in the Rose Bowl, a place that Alabama has been far more recently than Indiana. Alabama played in the same stadium exactly 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see this being played on college. That's the beauty of college football, the pageantry of college football. You're obviously going to get that in the Rose Bowl, of course, yes, because of the history there. But to see it played on these college campuses as you progress through the postseason in the CFP would really be remarkable. As a reminder, the college football playoff continues with those quarterfinal games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Tomorrow night, Miami will square off against Ohio State in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. 7:30 Eastern, and then on New Year's Day, Oregon will take on Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl at noon Eastern, and then it's Alabama and Indiana in the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential. And we cap the night with Ole Miss and Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Cannot wait. More First Take coming.